I want to associate myself with the righteous words of my colleagues. It is an honor to be here with Representative Cori Bush and Senator Warren. Thank you so much for introducing this legislation and for your leadership. It is also just remarkably beautiful to see all of these amazing leaders across the country who have been advocating on behalf of renters far longer than this pandemic, and continue to do this in the harshest moments of our nation's history. I stand here as a lifelong renter, as someone who knows what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, to worry if this month you will have enough money to stay in your home. And as someone who spent much of her childhood without a home, running water, or electricity. No one deserves to be thrown out of their home, especially in a country with over 600 billionaires and some of the most extravagant wealth in the history of the world. The pandemic is not over, as you've heard over and over again from my colleagues. Our people are still hurting. We had one of the worst job growth in months this month. Millions remain jobless. We need our government to act like it. As we speak, people in my district and across the country are being forced to pay thousands of dollars in back rent that they couldn't afford then and can't afford now. We should not have let this moratorium lapse. We should have canceled rent and mortgage payments. That's right. Ayana earlier said this eviction and evictions are policy choices. And oftentimes we find ourselves debating with our colleagues on both sides of the aisle to make policy choices that are just, that are equitable and efficient. So the fact that we have released $45 billion and only $5 billion of that is spent tells you we did not pass legislation that was going to be effective. Right. So I believe we should be fully reinstating this moratorium and giving this president and this administration the broad authority to do so moving forward. I can't tell you just how proud I am to have stood with, spent a few nights with, and shared just a moment of vulnerability with so many of our colleagues who, unlike our colleagues who chose to leave and not act on expanding this moratorium, personally understood that when people invest in you to be their voice in Washington, that you must actively do everything that you can to be the best voice possible for them. Yes. And so I know we take a lot of flack. People might not appreciate our tactics, our advocacy, but what I know to be true is that as someone who spent many years as an advocate and an activist, I've always wanted to have the kind of legislators we have been representing me.